This video will show us how to read an answer key. This is point slope and standard form classwork notes practice. Point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times the quantity, that's parentheses, x minus x1, parentheses. Everything in black is always there. You always have the y minus, the parentheses x minus, and the other parentheses. x1, y1 are your 2 points, or is your point, your x1, y1 point, and m is your slope. So let's look at the first problem. We want to write the point slope equation from the slope and the point. So m is -4, and we have a point at -3, 7. Remember, -3 is the x1, 7 is the y1, and so we have y minus y1, which is 7, so y minus 7 equals, m is -4, so -4, parentheses, and normally we do x minus -3. But because we're minusing a negative, we turn it into just plus 3. So it's parentheses x plus 3. Don't write minus a negative, that's not simplified. Instead you turn it into x plus 3. So notice it turns into the opposite sign when you put it in point slope form. It's a positive 7, you're going to write y minus 7. If it's a -3, then it turns into x plus 3. We can do a similar idea on these other problems. So b is m equal to 1/5 with a point at 2, -8. Again, because it's a -8, we turn into y plus 8 equals 1/5, parentheses, x minus 2, parentheses. Again, opposite signs for the points. The slope is the same sign. It's positive 1/5, it stays positive 1/5 to the slope. C, similar idea. Same thing with D, similar idea. Again, it's just the opposite signs. So for C, we had y minus 9 equals -6/7 times the quantity of x minus 1. For D, we had the slope was 2 at a point -5, -1. So it turned into y plus 1 equals 2 times the quantity of x plus 5. For number 2, we're going backwards. Now we're going to write the slope and the point, given the point slope equation. For part A, we have y minus 6 equals -3 times the quantity of x plus 8. Again, slope is that number in front of the parentheses, so slope is -3. Remember, it's the opposite sign, y minus y1 and x minus x1. Because it's y minus 6, it has to be a positive 6. Remember, that's on the y, not the x. And then because it's x plus 8, and it's supposed to be x minus something, it has to be minusing a -8 for the x. So slope is -3, and my point is at -8, 6. For B, y plus 2 equals 4/3 times the x plus 9. 4/3 is that number in front of the parentheses, so that's my slope, 4/3, that's m. X is the x plus 9, so it has to be -9 for the x. Y plus 2, again, has to be the opposite sign, so it's -2 for the y. So my point's at -9, -2. And we can do similar ideas for C and D. C is y minus 9 equals -5/2 times the x minus 1. So m is -5/2, and I have a point at 1, 9. D, y plus 4 equals 7 times the x plus 8. M is 7, and I have a point at -8, -4. Remember, make sure you put the x part with the x part, y part with the y part. Remember, they're the opposite sign for point slope equations. Now let's take a look at number 3. Now we're going to turn a point slope equation into a slope intercept equation. So to turn a point slope equation into a slope intercept equation, we need to get y equals. To do that, then, what we need to do is distribute on the right-hand side, distribute that slope through. So it's -3 times x is -3x. -3 times positive 8 is a -24. So I still have the y minus 6 on the left. Y minus 6 equals -3x minus 24. Now, because we don't have any parentheses, we can move terms around. Terms are things separated by pluses and minuses. So I'm going to move this minus 6 to the opposite side by adding 6 to both sides. That would give me just y left over on the left, right? Because negative 6 plus 6 is 0. The negative 3x, there isn't any other x's on this side of the equal, so it's still negative 3x. Negative 24 plus 6 gives me negative 18. So my equation is y equals negative 3x minus 18. A couple of ways we can verify that. We can graph the point-slope equation and the slope-intercept equation in decimals. Should see that these two lines overlap, and if they do, they're the same equation. It's probably the easiest way to do it. You could also make a table, or just plug in a couple x values and check. When you do that, just make sure you don't do 0, 1, 2. Those often can give us a false positive, so it's not really a proof. But really, just graphing the two point-slope equation and the slope-intercept equations on decimals and see that the lines are the same. That's the easiest way to verify they are the same. If they don't overlap, you don't have equivalent things and you've done something wrong. For B, we have y plus 2 equals 4/3 times the quantity of x plus 9. Again, we multiply that 4/3 through. 4/3 times x is 4/3 x. 4/3 times 9. 4 times 9 is 36. 36 divided by 3 is 12. You can also do the 9 divided by 3 first. That's 3. And then 3 times 4 is 12. Again, just type 4 divided by 3 times 9 on the calculator. Gives us positive 12. So we have y plus 2 equals 4/3 x plus 12. Again, I want to get y equals by itself to put it in slope-intercept form. So I need to move this positive 2 to the opposite side by subtracting 2 from both sides. What I do on one side of the equals, I have to do on the other side of the equals to keep them equal, equivalent. So y equals 4/3x plus 10. For C, we have y minus 9 equals negative 5/2 times quantity of x minus 1. This gives me y minus 9 equals negative 5/2x plus 2.5. It's a little easier to deal with decimals than fractions, so that's why I just did negative 5/2 times negative 1. Negative times a negative is a positive. 5/2 is 2.5 as a decimal. So now I add the 9 to both sides. Gives me y equals negative 5/2x plus 11.5. And then part D, y plus 4 equals 7 times quantity of x plus 8. Again, distributing the 7 through gives me 7x plus 56 on the right-hand side. Still have the y plus 4 on the left-hand side. Because it's positive 4, I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. This gives me y equals 7x plus 52. On number 4, we're going to write the point-slope equation from the graph below. And we're going to use that given point. So there's a point right here. We have this brownish line. My point is at negative 8 on the x, 6 on the y, so we have a point at negative 8 comma 6. Remember, negative 8 is the x1, 6 is the y1. What I need to do now is figure out where does it cross this coordinate grid at. Right, there is all these other points on this line. This is a point, that's a point, that's a point, but I don't know where those points are exactly. So if it crosses the coordinate grid, like it does right here, for sure, I know that that is a point. Same thing, pink, pink. Doesn't matter which two you pick, it will eventually reduce to the same slope. So even if I started at negative 8, 6, and I want to go to the negative 7, comma 3, start on the left, go to the right. Remember, rise over run, that's my slope. If I go up, it's positive. If I go down, it's negative. So I'm going down 3 to the right 1. Well, negative 3/1 is the slope of negative 3. As I said, it doesn't matter which 2 points you pick. I could pick a point at negative 6, 0, or a point at negative 4, negative 6. I'm going down 6 to the right 2. That still reduces to negative 3. So my slope is negative 3. I have a point at negative 8, comma 6. So my equation is y minus 6. Remember, the y goes with the y. Opposite sign. So positive 6 means it's y minus 6. equals the m, which is -3, parenthesis x plus 8. Remember, it turns into opposite sign. Since it's -8, it turns into x plus 8 inside the parentheses. So y minus 6 equals -3 times quantity of x plus 8. We'll do a similar idea for b. So in this graph, we see we have a point at -9, comma, -2. Again, then you figure, where does it cross that coordinate grid? The black lines should intersect the black lines nicely. You want to do it at a corner piece. So here's a point. So starting on the left, going to the right, and going up 4 to the right 3. So my slope is 4/3. So again, opposite sign, make sure you put the y with the y. So it turns into y plus 2 equals 4/3 times x plus 9. And number 5, we're going to graph the point slope equation. And we're going to do this in either different colors or label them. So the first one is y minus 9 equals -5/2 times x minus 1. Again, figure out your point. The opposite sign, because it's x minus 1, turns into a positive 1 for the x. Y minus 9 is my equation part, so it's turned into an opposite sign, so it's positive 9. So I have a point at 1, 9. Slope's the number in front of the parentheses, that's -5/2. So I'll put a point at 1, comma 9, that's here in the red. I then do the slope, -5/2. Remember, slope is rise over run. -5 means you go down 5 to the right 2. Down 5 to the right 2. Down 5 to the right 2. Connect my points. This is my blue line. You could also label this like line A. We could also label it with the equation y minus 9 equals -5/2 times the quantity of x minus 1. For part B, we have y plus 6 equals 2 times the quantity of x minus 4. Again, think opposite signs for the points. So it's +4 and -6. My slope's that number in front of the parentheses, so that's 2. Remember, that really means 2/1. If you don't see a bottom number, it's implied that it's over 1. Put a point at 4, -6. So that's the green point right here. My slope is 2, so up 2 to the right 1. 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 Plot all the points. Connect your points. And that's my equation for the B line in pink. In order to do a line, we only need a point and the slope. And that gives us 2 points. And once you have 2 points, you can make your line. You only need 2 points for a line. Now let's take a look at number 6. We're going to write the point slope equation from the 2 given points. My point is -6, comma, -3. And the other point's at 4, comma, 17. Well, to write the point slope equation, I first have to find the slope. I have my point, but I need to find my slope. We have to use the slope formula. Remember, slope formula is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Again, the stuff in blue is always there. So we are doing y2, that's the second y. Remember, the x1, y1, x2, y2 is just a fancy way of saying first x and y, second x, second y. You can't just say x and y because they're talking about this x or that x, the -6 or the 4. So we label them as x1, y1 to saying the first x and y, x2, y2 is just your second x and y. So I'm going to say the second y is 17 minus y1, which is a -3, so it's 17 minus a -3. Minusing a negative, same as adding a positive, so it turned into 17 plus 3, which is 20 on the top. Then we do x2, which is 4, minus, again, those have the minus. x1 is a -6, so it's 4 minus -6, again, minusing a negative, same as adding a positive, so that's 4 plus 6 gives me 10. 20 divided by 10 is 2, so my slope is 2. Since it doesn't specify which point to use for point slope form, we can do y minus 17 equals 2 times quantity of x minus 4. Or you could use the other point, the first point, and say y plus 3 equals 2 times quantity of x plus 6. Now let's look at standard form. Standard form, we have ax plus by equals c. A, b, c are integers. In some definitions, a has to be a positive. Remember, this integers means there's no decimals, no fractions. X and y are on the same side for standard form with your number on the other side. So in number 7, which of the following equations are in standard form? Again, should look like this. Your x, your y are on the same side. Your a, b, and c are integers. And some definitions have a as a positive natural number. And natural numbers start at 1 and go 2, 3, 4, etc. So we're going to write y for yes, it's in standard form. N is no, not in standard form. As they're not in standard form, we're going to provide the reason. So the first one, letter A, we have 6x minus 3y equals 14. Again, look, our x and y on the same side, numbers on the other side. The number in front of x and y are not decimals, not fractions. So, yep, that's in standard form. Letter B, 2/3 x plus 4y equals 15. This is not in standard form because a is a fraction. Remember, it can't be a fraction. It has to be a whole number or integer. C, we have 8x equals 11 plus 7y. This is again a no. X and y are not on the same side. They have to be on the same side. They're on opposite sides of the equals. That's not in standard form. D, we have 2 over x plus 3 over y equals 12. You might be thinking, hey, x and y are on the same side, but they cannot be in the denominator. They have to be in the numerator. They have to be this regular, not on the bottom of the fraction. So this is not in standard form either for part D. Part E, we have 5y plus 9x equals -8. This one is in standard form. It's okay that the x is in first, as long as the x and y are on the same side, and the numbers in front of x and y are integers with the number on the other side, they're good. It's just like slope-intercept form. The b can be before the m and the x, as long as the n, x, and b are all on the same side. M's in front of the x. And then f, we have x squared minus 5y equals -3. This is not in standard form because it's x squared. It has to just be x, has to just be y. For number 8, we're going to solve the equation in the slope-intercept form. So we have 7x plus 2y equals -12. My goal is to get in the slope-intercept form. Remember, that's y equals the rest of it. So I'm separated by pluses and minuses. We want to move this x to the other side. So just like solving an equation, right? If this was trying to get y by itself, this is a number, you'd move it to the other side. 7x is a number. I don't know what x is, so that's why it's 7x. So we're going to subtract 7x from both sides. This 2y is still on the left-hand side, so 2y equals -7x minus 12. I divide by the number in front of the y, so I get -7 divided by 2 and -12 divided by 2. When it's over one number, this can be divide both parts. So my equation is y equals -7 over 2x minus 6. That means the slope's -7 over 2. My y-intercept's at 0, -6. B, we have 8x minus 3y equals 15. Again, opposite sign of the x part. So it's positive 8x. We're going to subtract 8x from both sides. What comes down on the left here is in front of the 3 is a negative. So it's a -3y. Make sure you keep the sign to the left of that number, whatever it is. So it's -3y equals 15 minus 8x. Or, like you saw earlier, I could have written a -8x plus 15. Doesn't matter. I divide by the -3 in front of the y on both sides. 15 divided by -3 is a -5. -8 divided by -3 is 8 over 3. So we get y equals 8 over 3x minus 5. And again, could have written y equals -5 plus 8 over 3x. Doesn't matter which one you do first. You can do the slope in x first and then the y-intercept. Or I can do the y-intercept first and then the slope in x. For part C, we have -6x minus 2y equals -10. Again, after -6x is plus 6x on both sides. the negative 2y comes down. So negative 2y equals 6x minus 10. Do not put the x and the number together. They have to stay separate. In combining like terms, x's go with x's, numbers with numbers. In this case, they have to stay separate. So we have negative 2y equals 6x minus 10. I divide by the number in front of y. So I'm dividing by negative 2. This gives me 6 divided by negative 2 is a negative 3. So of the x. Negative 10 divided by negative 2 is positive 5. So my equation is y equals negative 3x plus 5. Again, we see the slope is negative 3. Y-intercept at 0, 5. In part D, x minus 4 equals negative 28. In front of the x is a positive, so subtract x from both sides. We then divide by the negative 4 in front of the y. Remember, in front of x is really then a negative 1. How many x's is there? There's 1x. So it's negative 1 divided by negative 4 would be a positive 1 over 4x. Negative 28 divided by negative 4 is a positive 7. So y equals 1 over 4x plus 7. Remember, a common mistake here is people will just write 4x, and it's not. It's 1 over 4. So be aware of that. And if you don't see a number in front of x, it's implied that there's a 1 there. And then 9, we have solved this point slope form into standard form. So I can multiply the negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 7 is a positive 21. So y plus 6 equals negative 3x plus 21. Again, try to get the x and y on the same side is my goal here. So now that I've got rid of the parentheses, I want to move the x to the left, keep the y over here, move my number to the right. So I'm going to do the opposite sign. So it's y plus 6, so I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. We have negative 3x, so I added 3x to both sides. On the left-hand side, we have the 3x, still have the y, so it's 3x plus y. On the right-hand side, we have 21 minus 6 is 15, so 3x plus y equals 15. And like before, you can verify either an 8 or 9 that the equations are equivalent by just graphing them both in Desmos. Desmos can graph the point slope form, the standard form, and the slope intercept form. And again, those lines should be on top of each other if they're the same. If they're equivalent, that's what will happen. If not, you've done something wrong. On number 10, we're going to learn how to graph standard form equations. So I have 3x minus 4y equals 24. There's really two common techniques that people like to use. One of them is using the x-intercept and the y-intercept. Again, I only need 2 points to make a line. The intercepts are really easy to find. Remember, the y-intercept is when x equals 0. So if I plug in 0 in place of x and solve for y, that will give me the y-intercept. So here I do 3 times 0, because I'm putting 0 in place of x. 3 times 0 minus 4y equals 24. 3 times 0 is 0, so I'm left with just negative 4y equals 24. To get y by itself, we now divide by the number in front of y, which is negative 4. So 24 divided by negative 4 is negative 6. The y is negative 6, the x is 0, so we have a point at 0, negative 6. Similarly, if the y-intercept is when x equals 0, the x-intercept then must be when y equals 0. So now plug in 0 in place of y, so we have 3x minus 4 times 0 equals 24. Again, negative 4 times 0 is 0. We're left with 3x equals 24. Divide by the number in front of x. 24 divided by 3 then is 8. Again, x is the 8, y is the 0, so we have a point at 8, 0. As you can see then, in green I've plotted the y-intercept, and in orange I've plotted the x-intercept. Remember, the x-intercept is when y is 0. So I have a point at 0, negative 6, 8, 0. I connected those 2 points, and that makes my line. That's one technique. The other technique is to solve my standard form equation in the slope-intercept form. We've already done that, so we should be comfortable doing that. We have 3x minus 4y equals 24. I subtract the 3x from both sides. In front of the 4y is a negative, so it's a negative 4y equals 24 minus 3x. Divide by the number in front of y, so I'm dividing both sides by negative 4. This gives me negative 3 divided by negative 4 is a positive 3 over 4, so the x. 24 divided by negative 4 is negative 6, so it's y equals 3 over 4x minus 6. Remember, the slope-intercept equation gives me the slope and the y-intercept. Again, plotting the point at 0, negative 6 in green. From there, I can go up 1, 2, 3, to the right 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a point. Up 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, put a point. Similarly, you can go down 3, back 4, to the left 4. Plotting my points then and connecting them, it still gives me the same line. Both methods work. I would say, for the most part, doing the slope-intercept form one is going to be more reliable. There's sometimes where the x-intercept and y-intercept will give you like decimals or fractions, and it makes it hard to actually graph it accurately. But it is another option that you could use. This is the same type of problem as 10. We're going to graph the standard form equation, 9x plus 4y equals negative 36. We can again use the x-intercepts and y-intercepts. Y-intercept is when x is 0, and plugging in 0 for x gives me 4y equals negative 36, divided by the 4. My y-intercept at 0, negative 9. X-intercepts and y is 0, that will give me 9x equals negative 36, divided by the 9. We get negative 4, 0. So again, I could plot those 2 points. You could also solve the slope-intercept form, subtracting 9x from both sides, dividing by the 4 in front of the y. Negative 9 divided by 4 is negative 9 over 4x. Negative 36 divided by 4 is negative 9. So y equals negative 9 over 4x minus 9. Plotting the y-intercept is 0, negative 9. My slope is a negative 9 over 4. That means I actually have to go up 9, back 4, up 9, back 4 to get my other points, since I can't go down 9 to the right 4. In either case, this is what your line should look like.